I do think that this one has already kind of soiled the meta. And so I'm really hopeful that they are able to figure out quickly how to fix the solo play, because the PvE mode was really fun. But then the second I went into solo play, PvP, it was immediately bad. Welcome to Twig, your weekly, geekly, family-friendly news show that tackles everything from Nintendo's busy random week to Toby Fox finally breaking the silence with some games in between. I'm Nerd Pastor Nate. I am really the pastor here at Checkpoint Church, a real-life church online designed with nerds, geeks, and gamers in mind. If you are listening on the podcast version of the show, be sure to give us a good review. Click that like if you're ever on YouTube, or coming listen live on Twitch every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern. We would love to have you any of those places, spaces, all that good kind of stuff. Folks, as always, we're going to be starting the show with what have you been watching, playing, and reading? Let me know over in the chat what you have been getting into. I will start us out with what I've been watching. I have been watching so many movies. I continue to go through my 1001 movies list. I have finally checked Parasite off the list, which I am so glad to have finally seen it. It really was as good as everyone said, and now it has officially. I keep watching through more and more of my 1001 list. I feel like I have been binging like nobody's business. I also found a list on TikTok months ago of movies with really good twists and recent movies with really good twists. And so I thought I would give them a try and give them a watch. And so I watched several of them this weekend as well while I was playing Metaphor. And they're pretty good. Some of them were pretty good. Some of them were better than others. Some of them were really not very good. I have been playing through Metaphor. I am in the, I'm pretty sure second to last dungeon. I haven't finished the game, so I don't know for sure, but it feels like we're getting towards end game stuff. And I am just absolutely enamored by this game. I love the characters, love the story, love the music. I think it's great. I don't know if I like it more than Persona 5 as of yet, but I sure do really enjoy it. I've also been playing through Pokémon TCG Pocket. If you're a fan of the trading card game, Pocket did release this week, and I have been playing quite a lot. And I'm super enjoying it. I think it's a lot of fun. I don't think it's super scammy. I do, however, think that the 1v1ing is terribly broken. It is just abysmally broken. I have no interest in playing with other people because everybody is like, the decks are just silly at this point. They've min-maxed the game so much that it's really not fun to play against randoms. So I remember this happened with Yu-Gi-Oh! As well when Yu-Gi-Oh! Released their card game online. There's something about the actual TCG that broken decks are really well monitored. And so maybe Pocket will get there too, but for now it is not well monitored and the decks are so broken and it is not fun to try your own little unique spin on a deck, because there are like 8 decks out there that are worth using. Everybody is using them and winning every time. So, and also I did win one time and didn't really get anything. Like I didn't feel like it was worth it at all to win. So I don't know. That is my one kind of cynicism about it, but I'm super enjoying it. I really do like the art. I like the cards. I like the play style. I like how you actually do the gathering of the cards. I'm curious to see how trading goes, but yeah. That's kind of how I feel about it thus far. And then I plan on starting Until Then sooner than later because I really do want to get into that game. I'm excited to see where it goes. As far as reading goes, I finished Trillion Game, liked it more than I thought I would. Really very, very similar in my mind to the mangaka's other work in, what's his name? Dr. Stone. I almost called him Dr. Strange. Yes. So we have Dr. Stone, mangaka, creating a IRL world kind of story, which I guess technically Dr. Stone is set in a sort of pseudo IRL. Anyway, it's interesting enough. I don't know if I'll pick up the second volume. We'll see. But the first volume was good enough. I think I gave it a 4-star out of 5. And then I am just continuing to just absolutely devour This Is Strategy. I think it's so good. And I am not enjoying digital liturgies even one little bit. I don't know what I'm going to do. I feel compelled to rant and rave about it, but I do not want to go after an author who don't deserve that heat. You know what I mean? But it is really, really rough. It is not good. It is not well argued, super emotional, super unreasonable, super inconsistent, very much just a bad experience all around. But I'm going to finish it because there's not many books on digital ministry out there, and so I feel compelled to get to the end of this one, but I am not impressed. Let's catch up with the chat some. Joanna is finishing Agatha All Along. Haven't even started yet. I feel like I'm so behind on Disney burned me out on TV shows that I just can't get the energy to start watching them. Playing Played Up with the hubby and reading Eclectic, and it changes daily. Gotcha. Hey, look, I get that. Believe me. As somebody that reads too many books, I understand that. DGC is watching Yakuza, Danadan, Flying Witch, Blue Lock, A Sentence of a Bookworm, streams streams, YouTube, and nerdy sermons. DGC, that's so many things. You're watching so many things, and I feel it. I am that way, so I totally get it. Playing through Metaphor Refantasio and reading the Bible. Yeah, time to write a book. Look, if I had the time and bandwidth, I absolutely would, because I think I got plenty to say. You can always go follow Pixel and Pulpit, a wonderful little Substack blog that I have been doing, where I am sort of writing little books each week, and need to write one for tomorrow because I don't have one yet, and that's because, I don't know, a pretty big monumental day as well as car trouble 2 days in a row, so go figure how we're going to make all those things work. Do let me know if you're coming in late, what you've been watching, playing, and reading. But we're going to get into some of the news of the night. Number one, the one that truly was a nobody's bingo card and was not being expected by anybody, at least me, in the form of Nintendo Music. Nintendo's launched a new app called Nintendo Music, offering fans access to a vast library of songs spanning nearly 40 years of its iconic game franchises, including Super Mario, The Legend of Zelda, Animal Crossing, Metroid, and Splatoon. Available on iOS and Android for Nintendo Switch Online members at no extra cost. The app provides features like online streaming, offline downloads, and custom playlist creation. Users can organize music by game or explore curated playlists, which are actually super cute, and recommendations will even reflect each user's Nintendo Switch play history, which is really very clever. Notably, there is even a spoiler prevention filter that can hide songs from unfinished games, and listeners can extend certain tracks by up to 60 minutes. With no other legal option for comprehensive streaming of Nintendo's music catalog, this app is a welcome addition for longtime fans who can now enjoy everything from the calming Animal Crossing tunes to the nostalgic Wii Shop channel theme. I have mixed opinion on this one. On one hand, look, I'm glad to see Spotify loosening the stranglehold on the music industry a little bit. On the other hand, I'm not sure if Nintendo is the beacon of like musicality that would be freely sharing their music. They're a little bit litigious with what they've got, but they have to be, I presume. I do think that for me and my family, I love Nintendo covers. And so I'm still finding my cover songs, my lo-fi music, to be more pleasing than going in and listening to the actual one-for-one tracks. That being said, I really do want to laud the work that Nintendo put into a actually clever app. Because I think that this could have been a easily zip it and ship it, send it out, create a Spotify clone and just let it be what it needs to be. They did not do that. The fact that it's tied to your account, the fact that they're offering offline downloads to everybody, the fact that they have these really clever playlists built into the thing, I think that's really very interesting of them. I think that's kudos, good call. I nobody expected it, truly. Certainly not me. I don't know what led to this being created. I don't know if there was just a lot of people ranting and raving, or if Nintendo was like, this is the way we're going to make up some of our Q4 loss stuff that we've got going on because of the Switch. I don't know. Or maybe they have kept this in the barrel for a long time because they've wondered about when the Switch 2 is going to release. You got me. But I'm excited that it exists. I'm excited that it's no extra charge for the Nintendo Switch Online members. I do think that's a pretty fair new bonus for NSO. And I think that we need more for NSO. I think the naysayers of it should, eat eat their hat or whatever the phrase is, because I think that NSO has paid itself off. I think that it's really not that expensive. At this point, they're offering the virtual console. At this point, they're offering online play. At this point, they're offering a full music streaming service. So I feel like NSO is officially worth it if it wasn't already for you. Now, the case may be, hey, I don't play my Nintendo enough, and that's a different situation. But as far as is Nintendo offering enough to make the cost worth it, I think so. I think this really has pushed me over the edge of like, now Nintendo is not just offering enough, they're being generous with what they're giving with NSO. So take that with what you will. Maybe you disagree with me, but that is about where I am feeling with this one. Sierra is doing the We Play fishing soundtrack. I am personally enjoying the Animal Crossing soundtrack. That's my vibes. And Steez, I do love Animal Crossing music, especially any of them that have a time of day in them. I'm like, this is true bliss. DGC also enjoys the covers from the consoles and the 8-bit band. There are amazing cover artists. And I think that was necessitated by the fact that Nintendo litigiously would not allow their music to go anywhere. And so there was that kind of element to the thing that hopefully spurned on creativity and allowed artists to flex their muscles in that way. I don't know. Ton of value in NSO, and I'm someone who pays $80 for the family plan for the expansion pass. Yep, I do the expansion pass as well, and I still think it's worth it. But again, I understand that is just one more thing added on to all of the other things. And so I get it. I get that it is often unmanageable, and sometimes it's just not doable. But as far as is it worth the price at this point, I think it is easy to say that it is. I do still think it would be lovely if they would do their own sort of Game Pass thing where they include a bundle of Nintendo classic games, not virtual console games, Nintendo games, like modern Switch games, just included on there. That would be nice. That'd be another boon in their corner, but who could say if they're going to do something like that, especially with all the other things that they already have. All right, next up, Toby Fox, creator of Undertale and the follow-up Deltarune, has confirmed that Deltarune Chapters 3 and 4 are set to release in 2025, marking a milestone fans have eagerly awaited. Originally launched in 2018 as a surprise demo titled Survey Program, the Deltarune series has since captivated players with its unique turn-based RPG style and heartfelt storytelling. While Chapters 1 and 2 were free, Fox initially planned to release Chapters 3, 4, and 5 as a single paid package. However, after extended development, he adjusted this to just Chapters 3 and 4, with more chapters planned to follow. The total of 7 chapters now hinted at in-game. Fans can look forward to the series' ongoing evolution. I have mixed opinions on this one as well. I am a shill. I am a fanboy. I love everything that Toby Fox does, and so I will gobble up Deltarune in as many chapters as Toby wishes to share. I think that it's great that this is happening, but I have to admit, I was more excited for Chapters 3, 4, and 5 being released as a single package. While I do understand that games happen and you got to do what you got to do and kinks in the plan happen and this just means more story from Toby, I kind of feel about this the same way I do about Haunted Chocolatier from Concerned Ape. Like, there is an element of these prolific indie game legends getting stuck in a bit of a creative rut after making something and then fearing that they won't live up to the hype with the next one. And I think that is what we're suffering from here. And maybe this will be something and it will continue to be beloved, but I don't want to see somebody that I am a shill and fanboy for, like Toby, just kind of continue pushing things off, and not really creating to the level that I know that they are probably creatively inspired to do. As a creative person, I feel like making 2 things every couple of years or that just wouldn't scratch the itch that I want to offer up. And so I fear for any of these indie devs that maybe they're just feeling bogged down or held down by their own laurels, by the own things that they have done in the past. But what do I know? I am not in the know. Maybe Toby is completely content with what he is already putting out there, what is already happening, and is just as pleased as punch, as we would say here in the South, that there is absolutely no concern about any of this. But that's how I feel about it. I am excited for 2025. I'm always excited for more Deltarune. I loved whenever it dropped as a mystery. I actually put that on my last Let's Play channel before Checkpoint ever existed. I've been jazzed about each of them, always curious about what comes next, and just think that the community, the community gets put down a lot as being overbearing and toxic. But what I see from my perspective of the Undertale and Deltarune community is talented artists who are curious and passionate and love creating interesting stories with the characters that Toby has given us. So that's my perspective on the toxicity of that side of thing. I'm sure there are bad fans, but fortunately, they stay out of my corner of the internet. All right, we're going to get into our final of our, in case you missed it here, Pokemon trading card game Pocket. It's almost like we just mentioned this. I'm getting deja vu, like I've heard this before. The Pokemon trading card game Pocket app launched on October 30th for iOS and Android. It's already quickly shown signs of massive success. Developed by Creatures and DNA and published by the Pokémon Company, the app allows players to open virtual Pokemon TCG packs with a swipe, revealing animated cards that bring the Pokemon illustrations to life, with the immersive art being particularly impactful. Players can open 2 packs for free each day, with additional paid packs fueling its rapid revenue growth, estimated at around $3 million daily, topping even Pokemon Go's current App Store earnings. By November 2nd, downloads surpassed 10 million, and AppMagic estimates they've now reached 12 million, primarily from Japan, the US, and other regions. With the potential to earn over $1 billion annually, Pokemon TCG Pocket arrives at the Pokemon Company, manages as the Pokemon Company, deals both legal battles and security issues, but its early success bodes well for the franchise's mobile future. It surpassed current Pokemon Go, not original OG Pokemon Go. I don't think anything ever will surpass that phenomenon. But this is a whole lot of money being funneled into this thing, even whereas the players are still a lot, but not Pokemon Go levels, and definitely not OG 2016 Pokemon Go levels. I do think that, kind of like I was alluding to before, that this is good for Pokemon, good for creatures. Like, I love to see them getting more success and more interest, especially in the TCG. I love the TCG myself. I do think they are maybe a little bit money hungry. They release maybe too many expansions. I stopped doing it because my wallet couldn't afford all the expansions that I was buying. But I do think that this one has already kind of soiled the meta. And so I'm really hopeful that they are able to figure out quickly how to fix the solo play, because the PvE mode was really fun. I super enjoyed climbing the ranks there. It was a good time. It felt like properly challenging as you went up the ranks. But then the second I went into solo play, PvP, it was immediately felt bad. It just was not a good experience. And so they've got to get that in order, or I will drop this app. Like, I enjoy the TCG. I enjoy what's happening, but I'm going to download another app that's going to take precedent. I'm going to forget to check my phone on a trip, maybe in CMS next week. And then I'm never going to remember to open the app again, except for once in a blue moon, like I do with Pokemon Go now. So there's going to have to be something that sustains this level of interest to keep me on board, to keep the average gamer here on board. But I do think that it is interesting how quickly this skyrocketed to the top of everything. We were really due a game like this anyway. I don't know the last time I got a really good mobile game. I've gotten a lot of additions, expansions on mobile games that I love, but a totally new one. Even Balatro, we just got Balatro, but I'd already played it before, right? So it was time. It was time for this, and I still am angry at them for announcing it right after they released Pokemon Go Live, or Pokemon TCG Live, after teasing us about it for 2 years, but alas, it was better than I expected, and I do enjoy the experience, and I do really enjoy the art. I am upset that I cannot get a Delibird yet, not in the first expansion, so I'm hopeful that I can get a Delibird, my favorite Pokemon, in case that wasn't obvious by my friend here. All right. We're going to get into the next segment of the show, which is, of course, the legally distinct start of Subthing New. We're going to talk about games that are coming out this month on freemium stuff that we pay for and get games for. And this month it is PS Plus that has gotten the most recent update, with one game that I definitely wanted to talk about. So if you are a PS Plus, PlayStation Plus subscriber, then you are going to be getting access to Ghostwire Tokyo as your free game download, which is one that has actually been on my list list, so I'm curious to give it a shot. You're also going to be getting Hot Wheels Unleashed 2 Turbocharged, both if you're on PS4 and PS5 for that one. And then, in a true surprise that nobody could have predicted, Death Note Killer Within. If you have not heard of this, folks, if you're unfamiliar, first off, with the anime Death Note, this is a cult classic anime and manga, absolutely beloved by the community. Like, this is a big deal, a big thing, and they got a game like Among Us. Why? I don't know. Who made this? Not sure. Is it going to be good? It sure doesn't look good. But, if I'm being completely honest, does Among Us look good? Not really. It just plays in a really fun way and has a really fun community behind it. So maybe there will be people that'll make this game interesting enough, but it's like, I don't play Among Us because I want to see the art, and I don't know if I'll play Death Note because I want to see the art. I want to live the life of Kira. So I don't know how this is going to go or if it's going to be picked up on at all. I will say they are pushing it hard. I have seen so many trailers about this game. I've seen how to play this game. I've seen people talk about this game. I've seen people freak out about this game. I can't believe that we're getting this game so delayed, but maybe they're trying to make a revival. Maybe Death Note's getting a reboot. Who could say? But it is coming out for PS4, PS5. I don't know if it's going to be released anywhere else here. That is a good question. Probably. I feel like it would be a logical thing to release it in other platforms, especially PC. But I don't know if and when and cross-platform stuff. It would make a lot of sense to do it. It almost feels like this game was supposed to release in another era. But this year has just kind of been the year of this type of game. So who would know how this will do? But do let me know if you plan on snagging those. I will be snagging the PlayStation Plus games. I always do because it's a free game, and why wouldn't I? It's the same with Epic, right? I may never play them, but I'm always going to get them. Hey, speaking of something new, which this is not really a part of the usual start of something new, but instead Humble Bundle. I just want to call it out. The Humble Choice this month. If you're unfamiliar with Humble Bundle, that is a monthly subscription bundle of PC keys. And so one of the keys this month is for Persona 4 Golden. That's a heck of a get with Humble Bundle. Like, that is a big deal that they put that one on there. So I don't know if you are a Persona fan that doesn't already own P4G, but like the fact that it's in the $30 Humble Choice is a big deal. Go snag that if you haven't already, because that is pretty incredible in my humble opinion. I didn't know that was even like an option for Humble to do that. And so now I am jazzed. Like, what is Humble going to do next if they're starting to pull from games like Persona? I would love to see more in that zeitgeist. So I love Humble. I will always support them. That said, it was already pretty cheap on Steam, and that may be what it was. Maybe they snagged up a bunch of keys whenever there was already a Steam sale going on. And Persona games go on sale pretty notoriously often anyway. But I was just surprised to see it on Humble. That just doesn't feel like the kind of game that I normally see on that list. So curious stuff there. I love Humble. I love supporting them and supporting the charities that they support. So I will always do that anyway. But that's a little bonus start of something new that I didn't expect to mention, but I will mention anyway. We're going to get into our main topic for tonight, which is the 7 games that inform how you vote. This is something that I threw together today. Welcome to our special election edition night of the podcast here. It's a big night with results coming in here in the States. And while we're all tracking updates and things like that, I thought we could take a break and talk about video games and voting. Now, I have got 7 games here that I think surprisingly offer us lessons for the voting booth, or at least for the way that we live lives as people, as part of a democratic society. Each one of these things, I think, brings something unique to the table. So without further ado, let's dive in and see what gaming wisdom can tell us about choices that we are all making tonight and throughout our lives. Number 1 is Hotline Miami. I don't know if you've ever played Hotline Miami before, but I think it teaches the importance of self-reflection. So if you have yet to play Hotline Miami, I'm going to walk you through what happens. You are a mysterious character in the neon-lit streets of 1980s Miami. It is fast, it is chaotic, it is violent, brutally violent, where the point of the game is to figure out how to shoot yourself through a top-down puzzle of destruction and chaos. And I will never forget the first time that I played this game, because after you reach the end of the room, the first puzzle, you have to leave. So you get the thing that you're there for, and then you have to walk back, which I never had really put two and two together with video games. But often in video games, what happens, right? You go in, you do the thing, you solve the puzzle, you complete the level, and it sends you to the next level, right? Not with Hotline Miami. You have to go back and step over the morbid bodies of people as you leave. This game doesn't allow you to just breeze through the violence. You have to pause and reflect on the choices that you have made, the people that you have harmed. It is a really, really fascinating thesis of this game. It's not accidental that they make you do this. They throw that in to the whole thing that you are doing. So I think that's a great place for us to think about as we are voting, is self-reflection and thinking about the fact that we're not just doing something, but instead we are having an impact. We are making choices, and the choices may impact the world around us, the people around us that we do impact on a daily basis. So it may look like pure chaos, but I think that the way it encourages us to examine ourselves is an important thing for us to do as people and part of churches and societies and communities, that we should do better to analyze and provide some self-analysis of what we're doing, where we've been, and who we've left behind in the path behind us. So worth considering. Let me know if you agree with that assessment, what you think about Hotline Miami being our first one. We're going to move into number 2, which is one of my favorite games of all time. I do have Nico somewhere around here. I think he's actually over there now. But One Shot. One Shot teaches us the value of sacrifice in pursuit of a greater good, and if that is truly a greater good or not. So this is a quiet, beautiful indie game where you are guiding a young character named Nico through a world that is slowly dying around them. Nico has a single mission: restore light to the world using a fragile light bulb, the sun of the universe. But there is a catch. Completing the mission is going to come at some form of personal cost, either for you as the player, for the people of this world, or for Nico themselves. So in the context of voting, I do think that One Shot is a reminder that sometimes the best choices are the ones that don't directly benefit us, but instead are actually helping others, that do require a certain sense of sacrifice and humility. It is important for us to think about what we're willing to do. If you've ever been a part of any of our things that we do that are a little bit more religious than our podcast here, if I pray, typically I pray that we might be the hands and feet of Jesus, that we might do something more than just offer up words or thoughts or prayers. We are doing with our hands and our feet. We are being the body of Christ. We are becoming something bigger than ourselves. It also means we shouldn't float the ego and get too big of a head, but instead, just that we remember the importance of what we're doing and how we might be able to contribute in and of ourselves and our own actions. So, number 2, One Shot. Number 1, Hotline Miami. Number 3, believe it or not, this one felt like a shot in the dark as I was writing it, but I like it. Animal Crossing. The point of Animal Crossing is you're a villager moving into some kind of island paradise or village or township, and somehow, some way, shape, or form, you end up becoming in charge. Either you are literally the mayor, or you're just somebody sort of overseeing community events or landscaping or initiating taxes or causing reform to happen in the area or setting the mandates or whatever it is that makes the town open early or close late. You are directly impacting this village and these people and their happiness. And sometimes they will not like the decisions that you make. And sometimes they will really love the decisions that you make. But I think it does kind of put an interesting spin on considering sort of the city planning of it all, and also the fantasy of owning a house. Yeah, we can always talk about the elements of capitalism that are rife throughout Animal Crossing that may or may not be great. But literally as our role as an authority authority figure in this village, in this town, I think is worth considering. Maybe it changes our perspective on the people that we are voting for, or the people that we are paying attention to, or reading information about, as we wonder, well, should I vote for this person or that person? And keeping in mind, like, yes, we have the like huge gubernatorial folks, but then we also have just like the local people. We have the folks that are right around us that are directly voting on the ordinances that we are overseeing. So like, those impact us, and now we have a different perspective on, oh, I've made decisions for virtual people, so maybe that has something to do with how I might relate to this civic leader. In a darker twist on Animal Crossing, I will offer up Frostpunk. If you've never played Frostpunk, it's a game with a bit more bite than Animal Crossing. You are leading a settlement in a world that has been frozen over. You sort of become a sort of custom-made leader in this space. Resources are pretty scarce, and you're going to have to make really tough decisions, impossible decisions to keep your people, the people that you are trying to keep alive. You have the option. You can enforce really harsh laws to keep order. You can ration food for only the strongest people and make hard choices for the sick and elderly, knowing that they won't survive. One of the most notorious bills in this game is literally legalizing child labor. How do we feel about that? And when is that the right choice to make? Is it ever the right choice to make? Similar to a RimWorld, absolutely. So Frostpunk 1, 2, RimWorld, any kind of city management. I just chose Frostpunk as being one of the ones that I thought was pretty gritty, but RimWorld certainly has those elements as well. So even though we aren't facing these kind of life and death scenarios often, like we might in Frostpunk, for instance, we're not trying to figure out how to fuel that energy so that we don't all freeze to death. Nonetheless, life and death scenarios, or at least intense scenarios, do happen whenever we vote. And sometimes those in power have to make some really tough, unpopular decisions. And so how do we rationalize with what we don't agree? Are we able to work through and balance moral dilemmas in our brains? This is a practice. This is something that actually doesn't harm anybody because it is digital people that we are putting at risk, but we're allowed to explore moral dilemmas in our own lives and better understand things that are going on around us. Number 5, another type of game that informs how you vote is Detroit to Become Human. Now, there are a lot of ways that we can take this game. If you've never played Detroit before, this is a story-driven game that tackles questions of autonomy, rights, justice, all those sorts of things. You play as 3 androids in a future where androids are being treated as property. It is a pretty one-to-one parallel for exactly what you're thinking. Over the course of the game, these androids are going to be gaining self-awareness and fighting for their freedom, challenging the players to make choices that can affect their rights and their survival. This game asks a lot of questions, but I think one of the questions that I wanted to focus on was the challenges of justice. I think there is a lot to consider with how do we explore the ramifications of justice? How do we explore the ramifications of peaceful protest? Like I mentioned, there's a lot of like direct one-to-one civil rights comparisons in this game. It's not trying to be subtle about it. And so as we're thinking about what it means to be a free person, as we're thinking about what it means to experience justice and wholeness of humanity and to be able to see the humanity in others, that's something that we should be considering. And so this is a game that actually gives us the opportunity to cosplay as somebody that is being impacted by unfair and unjust civil rights. We still have the opportunity to explore those things in an interactive way, to ask ourselves what questions, what answers, how would we respond when faced with that kind of dark choice. Speaking of dark choices, number 6, if you've not played it, Papers, Please. Moving on, we have Papers, Please, a game that is all about bureaucracy with a human face. In this game, you are going to play as a border agent in a fictional totalitarian country tasked with approving or denying entry for people based on complex and often arbitrary rules. Every person who crosses your desk has a story. a life. And in the end, your stamp, approved or denied, decides their fate. It gets a whole lot more interesting and the story goes a whole lot more places from just there. But I think that what I want to focus on for this one and what I think helps us understand our vote is when we look at these things on a piece of paper, when we're dealing with issues, when we start reading through forms and through things and through legislation and through law and through all this stuff that we're looking at, sometimes we have a tendency to remove the human from it. And so what I love about Papers, Please is that you gotta look the human being in the face. The fact that you get to see them, that you get to actually look at them and see either the heartbreak in their eyes or the relief, that's a huge deal. That's something that is worth considering, and I think more games should do, because I really do think that is a compelling argument and thesis of what a game can do in us, is reminding us that we can put magic words to issues and to rights and to justice, or we can look at the human being being directly impacted and affected by these things. Remembering human cost is a thing that challenges our sense of empathy. And so this is a game that allows us to practice empathy, and the more opportunities we have to do that, I think, the better. All right, my final game that informs how you vote. This one is the other side of the border crossing scenario. So this is not a border patrol agent, but instead someone trying to cross the border. If you've never played Road 96, this game talks a little bit about activism and about how we might be able to escape a country that is immoral. So in Road 96, the game is a road trip adventure, and you're playing as a teenager who is trying to escape a country under a pretty harsh regime. Along the way, you're going to meet others on the run. You're going to take dangerous risks. You're going to face choices that reflect the personal cost of standing up against oppression. And if you have never played this one, it is really pretty heartbreaking, because the game does not tell you, spoiler alert, I suppose, the game does not tell you that you're not going to be playing as the same character the whole time. And so you're going to be playing as several different teenagers trying to escape, and some of them, based off of your choices, are going to be successful, and some of them are not. And so I think that this is an interesting opportunity for us to, again, cosplay as an activist, for us to experience what it is like to be somebody who is ostracized, who is othered, and who is trying to escape and be an advocate for something different. This game does allow you to be an advocate in some ways, and that often doesn't pay off in ways that you hope. And that can be a harsh reality for us to also acknowledge. Like, mouthing off to the governor or whatever is not often going to actually turn out with change, like in a movie, but instead it's going to be a harsh and brutal reality check instead. So I think that this game does have an encouraging message of showing us that the struggle for change is going to be worth it, especially if we're able to make the right choices as we go along. But it still allows us a fascinating exploration for, are we making good calls? Are we doing the right thing? Are we working towards a better future with our actions, our hands, and our feet, as I have mentioned several times throughout these? So what do you think? There you have it. 7 games that bring a fresh perspective to the power of voting. Thank you for hanging with me through this segment. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Hopefully it was a better experience than continually pressing refresh on your browser and watching whatever happens on those voting percentages. Remember, games are not just entertainment. These are opportunities for us to live a life other than our own, for us to play in story. They can reflect our real life choices and allow for us to experiment with not real life choices so that we can then better understand who we are and how our decisions impact others. So keep these insights in mind as you go throughout the rest of your life as a member of whatever society you might be a part of whatever democracy you might be a part of, or even just the local community or family unit even. Think about how that might impact the decisions that you make and how games might help you to be a better person and to do our 3 rules: to grow as a person, doing good, doing no harm, and then striving for more growth. So there we go. Remember to think and play and stay engaged, and glad to hear that we've got some thumbs ups already in the chat. I'm glad to hear that y'all enjoyed it. Do let me know in the comment section if you're watching the VOD of this later what you thought of this segment, if it was fun, if it was interesting, if it made you curious to check out any of those games. Obviously, a lot of them are going to probably be visual novels, walking sims, because that's your boys type of game, but I do think that they are good recommendations nonetheless. I tried to pick games that I think are unironically just good games, and then also tell a good experience on top of that. So There we go. That is going to be that segment, and we are going to move on to my personal favorite segment of the show, which is not that. That's everyone's favorite, but we don't have a second person, so we cannot do that one tonight. But we are going to do my favorite segment of the show, which is, of course...
At this point in nerd history...
Yeah, that's right. It's time for, at this point in nerd history, everything that was released on this exact day throughout time and space. Welcome in, Zando. Thank you for that sub. And St. Bear, welcome in as well. Metroid Dread, it's crazy to think that was 3 years ago. That just does not feel like real life. It did not come up, strangely enough, in our games that were released on this day, but I guess we were just playing them, not releasing them. These are all games, TV shows, movies, random facts, any of those kind of things that happened on this exact date of November 5th throughout time and space. So, games that came out on November 5th. 2009, we have Mario and Sonic at the Vancouver Olympics. It was released in Japan for the Wii. 2007, Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare was released. 2004, Duel Masters, the limited edition. I put this on here just for me because I loved that game. I loved Duel Masters and loved that limited edition in particular where it like glinted back and forth. It was very cool. 2003, this is also one just for me. 2003, The Fairly Odd Parents Breakin' Doe Rules. I played so much of that game. It was so broken. It was so terrible. Really just an unnecessarily challenging game, but I remember playing a lot of it. I was a big Fairly Odd Parents fan. 1997, Crash Bandicoot 2, Cortex Strikes Back was released. And then in 1996, a game that I am convinced would not be as fun going back and playing now, Wave Race 64. It was released in North America for the Nintendo 64. So there you go. There's some games that were released, some movies that have been released on November 5th throughout time and space. 2021, the ill-fated, but doggone it, you guys, not that bad of a movie, Eternals was released. 2003, The Matrix Revolutions was released. 2004, one of the greatest movies maybe of all time, The Incredibles, released. And then 2010, a movie that I did not ever see but always see memes of is Megamind. Megamind released, so... maybe we have some Megamind fans out there. I feel like I was a little too old for it when it came out, and I missed the window of when I would have unironically thought it was cool versus watched it as an adult and laughed at the adult jokes. So there you go. Random facts, some interesting ones in here that I thought were worth sharing. In 2007, Google unveiled the Android mobile operating system, the one that I personally love using. So I am a big Android fan, and I will talk about it as much as you would like to hear about it. 1959, the AFL, American Football League, was formed. And then in 1935, the game Monopoly was introduced by the Parker Brothers Company on November 5th. So there you go. There are your, at this point in nerd history, moments. Do let me know if any of those got your attention, if you were interested in any of them. DGC is one of the Megamind fans. I'm telling you, the memes are everywhere, so it's hard to deny the staying power, the lasting power of Megamind, but still one that has never entered into my brain, although maybe I'll have to add it to my own personal 1001 list and eventually see it. Anyway, Aaron, to answer your question, when does the recording of this stream release? We release Twig every Thursday. So the VOD will be edited, cut down, and released Thursday at noon over on our YouTube channel. And let me know if you check it out in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on the show. Okay, with that, we're going to get into our next segment of the show, which is, of course... okay, upcoming releases. These are things that are going to be happening in the next week or so. I'm going to be going a little bit further out than just the next week because of the fact that we are not going to be having Twig next week, but that's a spoiler alert for the end of the show. My first recommendation, I'm a diehard Ace Attorney fan, if you are unfamiliar, and there is a sort of fan game coming out called Paper Perjury. All started as a simple robbery, and the thread was pulled. A tapestry of mysteries has been revealed. Solve cases, outsmart criminals, and a detective story full of lies, confessions, and maybe even a myrtle or two. I don't know if it's going to be good. It could be absolute garbage, but they've got the alliteration of Paper Perjury, Ace Attorney. You get the idea. And I am a sucker for them. So I'm going to be playing this game. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. Hopefully it gets good reviews and gets me especially excited about it. But regardless of any of that, it will be played by me, so you will find out how it goes. Another of my sleeper hit games that you may have never heard of, The Rise of the Golden Idol. That is a sequel to The Case of the Golden Idol, which if you have never played, I highly recommend. One of the greatest puzzle games, I think, of all time. So award-winning detective Saga returns, uncover the truth behind 15 strange cases of crime, death, and depravity in the 1970s. This time, the world has changed dramatically, but the sins of humanity have not. I love these games. I don't know if I'll be playing it on stream because they never performed well on stream, but I absolutely adore these games and the puzzles that they offer. So this is another one that is quickly bumping up my list. And then my last recommendation is kind of a surprise for me. I'm not normally one for the kind of Christian-y movies. It's not that I don't support them. It's just not normally what I'm going to be calling out or seeking out. I've seen enough VeggieTales in my life to be kind of burnt out on Christian media, even as a pastor. But this one has Pete Holmes in it, and so I am interested in it. The best Christmas pageant ever, based on the beloved book, The Best Christmas Pageant Ever, is going to be centering on the Herdmans, the worst kids in the history of the world. This Christmas, they're taking over their local church pageant, and they just might unwittingly teach a shocked community the true meaning of Christmas, starring Judy Greer. And Pete Holmes, of course. So I'm excited to see it. I've heard good things. Radio Matt over at Love Thy Nerd said good things about it, and I'm hopeful for it. I'll watch it. What the heck? I don't know if I'll be going to see it in theaters. I don't know if it's going to be child appropriate to bring a 5-year-old to, so probably not. But look, I think that's fun. I've never read the book, so Joanna, if you think it's a good book, then that sounds good to me. I'd love to hear more about it. And yeah, it's a fun enough premise. It's easygoing and a nice story being created by the Chosen team. So if you're a fan of the Chosen series on YouTube and the app, then it's made by the same team behind that. And again, it's got Pete Holmes in it. So I feel like that means they're cool. The fact that they're willing to see what Pete Holmes does and be aware of kind of where he is as a Christian, I love that. I think that's great. And I'll take it all the way to the bank. So good stuff there with those upcoming things. Let's see, we've got one upcoming things in there. DGC dropping Arcane Season 2. Very curious about that as well. Although I do think, did I see it was the second and final part? That bums me out. I really wanted more. I did not want Arcane to be over with Season 2. I really wanted it to go on forever. So hopefully this just means the end of this story in particular, and that now we will see another story told in this universe, because as much as I do not enjoy League of Legends, I really enjoyed the stories that they told, and they did such a good job. So we shall see what they end up doing. And then Mario Luigi Brothership, I'm hearing mixed things, but I am down to clown. I'm curious about it. I enjoyed the Mario and Luigi games of old. So yeah, curious to see it. And then your brother's birthday. Happy birthday to your brother almost. Yes. Yeah. Apparently it's the end. I don't know. I could be wrong. Maybe I misread on Netflix, but it sure did seem, based off of the ad that they posted, that it was part 2 of Arcane and the last part. So I didn't like that. I never want it to end. I want even more of this because I just think they're so good. They're so beautiful. I do think they are releasing it in chunks, right? So that's very good. I like that they're releasing it in delayed like they did with the first season. That'll be good news. But do let us know if anything else interested anybody. If you are curious about any other things that are going on out there, I would love to hear what you've been curious or excited about. But we are going to get into the final segment of the show, which is, of course, yeah, that's right. It's time for our meme of the week. Our meme of the week this week comes from Sierra, who is actually in the chat right now. This is Sierra's meme, which is the iconic Dark Souls-esque huge boss fighting the tiny man. My childhood punishments were sleeping early, eating healthy, limiting screen time, and staying at home. My adult goals now are sleeping early, eating healthy, limiting screen time, and staying at home. Yes. Very good. I love it. I feel it in my bones. I couldn't more relate and understand that meme and just wish that I could get a healthy sleep schedule. Now, I will say one thing that has remained a part of my childhood goals and adulthood goals is to experience as much media as possible. And still, I don't have enough time. I didn't have time to play games as a kid, or I didn't have money to play games as a kid. And now I have money to play games and I don't have time to play games. So those two things have not happened. But yeah, sleeping would be really nice. Sleeping would be incredible. If I could do that, even that alone, I will take. However, woof. Okay, so if you would like to be considered If you'd like to be considered for Meme of the Week, the way you can do that is to join our Discord server, !Discord in the chat at any point in time. We have a Memes and Goofs channel. Drop your memes throughout the week. Whatever gets the most reactions is typically the one that I pull for our Memes and Goofs segment that shows up here on the show. So be sure to use that space, post your memes, make us laugh at other people's stuff, enjoy that space, and maybe, just maybe, you might be our Meme of the Week, as Sierra is this week. So chats in the clap indeed to Sierra for snagging this one, and we're going to get then into the end of the show. Folks, this has been Twig, your weekly geekly family-friendly news show delivered live on twitch.tv/checkpointchurch each and every week, keeping your family connected to the world of nerdy news. If you watched this far, hey, you probably enjoyed this one. So remember to give us a 5-star on your podcast app. Click that like button if you're over on YouTube. Recommend the show to all of your favorite nerds out there. We're going to be trying something new this week. We'll see how it goes, but just a little experiment with this week's. Folks, we do appreciate everybody that supports the show in any way by liking, sharing, commenting, all those things. But we do want to give an extra special shout out for those that throw financial contributions via subscriptions over here on Twitch. So thank you to our subscribers: Mindful Marlena, Tina Christina P, Akeem 4752, Wise and Lemur, Maybe 30 Bats, Leanna Moore, Perspectives, Zando Carizian, DGC 12 1996, Trombone Dalek, Joanna the Scribbler, Sugar Haiku, Bweesh, Gobi Church, Date Live, Twyla 27, Coyote 42, Sneaky Pig 633, and Nerd Pastor Nate. And thank you to everybody else that does support us in all the wonderful ways that you do. Folks, is there going to be Twig next week? No, we are not going to be having Twig next week because a huge chunk of our community will be at NCMS, the Nerd Culture Ministry Summit, happening in Colorado Springs, Colorado. We are super excited for it. Checkpoint is going to have a great presence there. We're going to have some family time where folks can hang out and play games together. We're going to be hanging out and mingling with other communities that are going to be there. We're going to be hearing from some great seminars, some great people that are thinking about digital space, nerd ministry space. And then we're also going to be having a panel. So I'll be on a panel with a couple of other church planters of digital ministries out there. So it's going to be a great opportunity for folks to be present and engaged. As far as what we're going to be doing for you, Twitch viewer or Discord person or YouTube person, we are still going to be trying to create whatever content we are able to with the internet and the situation that we have got going on there. So we still are hopeful to stream something during Twig time next week, but that may not happen. It's kind of up in the air. It's like we want to do that, but we have no idea what it's actually going to look like and how everything's going to pan out. We want to stream our time that will be happening during that checkpoint afternoon when we have family time as a church. We want that to happen, but we just don't know the capacity. So best bet is to join the Discord server and find out what's going on, because that is where all the communications will be happening. So if you want to know what's going on at NCMS next week, be sure to follow our Discord or follow me over on Instagram, Nerd Pastor Nate, where I'll also try and post as much as I can to my story there to keep people engaged and aware of what's going on. With that, what a night. I have just spoken for 56 minutes. Oh my goodness. I should have brought my inhaler tonight. I wasn't aware that I would need albuterol to make it through Twig tonight. It's been a great show, folks, and I so appreciate you taking time out of your busy days to join us on these. We're going to wrap this up as we always do, because we are really a church and I'm really a pastor, and we really want you to know these 3 things are true about you. No matter whether you believe in God, don't believe in God, go to church, don't go to church, hate God, hate church, we still believe these things to be absolutely true about you. Number 1, that God loves you, like really, really loves you. Number 2, we love you. That's why we're doing this. That's why we're talking about nerdy news. That's why I'm sitting here standing in front of a camera talking for an hour straight as I try and gasp for breath. It's all of this is because we love you. We really, really do love you. Number 3, that you, yes, you person, you matter. You're a person of sacred worth. The world's a better place. Why? Because you are in it. And with that, we're going to close out the show. And until the next time that I might see you, whether that is on our Discord or whether it is on our Twitch channel or whether it is on the Twig episode, not next week, but the week after, I look forward to seeing you then. Till next time, folks, thanks for joining us, and I will see you around. Bye-bye!